Let's talk about put options, shall we? Put options, when you're selling them specifically, you're typically selling them as a cash secured put. When you're selling a cash secured put, your brokerage is going to take enough money to cover assignment if that occurs. In other words, when you sell a put option, you're selling a put option to somebody, and that person could exercise that put option and is likely going to exercise that put option if it's going into expiration and the put option is in the money. Your counterparty does not want to hold a put option into expiration that's in the money because it's just going to expire worthless and they're going to lose all the money they have in it. Why would they do that? They're going to exercise. And you being the chump counterparty that you are, you're going to have to fulfill their right to exercise by buying 100 shares at the strike price. And your brokerage, to mitigate the risk, is going to hold aside enough money as collateral to cover that assignment if it occurs. And enough money to buy 100 shares at the strike price in case your counterparty exercises. And that's a cash secured put. Video over. However, this isn't the best way to sell put options, in my opinion. It's not the only way to sell put options. You don't necessarily have to sell it as a cash secured put. You could sell it as a naked put. And it's called a naked put because you don't have to have cash set aside as collateral, held as hostage, put in a dark, damp room and shot in the kneecaps in order to open a put, a short put. You can have nothing. You can sell it on margin, meaning that if you get assigned, you'll cover the shares on margin. And it's called a naked put because you don't have any collateral in case you do get assigned. It's a naked and afraid put option. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing because we all like something that's naked from time to time. So instead of holding cash aside, your brokerage looks at your account and goes, yep, this guy has enough margin and enough securities in his account that if he got assigned, he could either cover that assignment with margin or cover it partially with margin and liquidate some positions to finish covering assignment. They run simple calculations to determine if you have enough marginable securities and margin to mitigate the risk in case you do get assigned. They're comfortable knowing that you'll be able to cover it one way or another. Now, I used to think, and like pretty recently, like literally days ago, because I'd never really sat down and thought about it, I never looked it up. I just kind of figured it out on my own, that you had to eliminate all your buying power first and then sell a put option, and that way you'd be selling a put option on margin. But that's not necessarily true. If you meet the margin requirements to sell a naked put option, you can have cash in your account and it becomes a cash secured put because that cash will be used to cover assignment if it occurs. Or you could take that money away and it becomes a naked put option if you meet their margin requirements. So if you have cash in, cash out, it doesn't matter. You can just do whatever you want with the cash. It's technically going to change whatever type of put option you have sold short, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to get rid of all your buying power first and then sell a put option in order to sell a put option on margin. It just means that you don't have enough to cover assignment. If you don't have enough money in your account to cover assignment, then you're selling a naked put option. So what this allows you to do is, instead of having your money robbed from you and put somewhere far, far away in the internet ether, you can have your money in your own hands and you can go put it in an interest accruing account. For example, M1 Finance, M1 Spend Plus. If you pay $125 a year, you can get 1% interest in their savings account. And it's basically a checking account. So if you have $12,500 saved up and put in M1 Spend Plus, it's worth it because a 1% return on that's going to be $125, so the account pays for itself. So in this example, if you had $12,500 in there already covering the cost of M1 Spend Plus, and then you sell a put option, a naked put option, you could take the money that would have been held aside as collateral and put it in that interest accruing M1 Spend Plus and earn 1% interest annually. So that way you're making a little bit of extra money on top of the premium you're already selling. It also eliminates the need to compare the premium you're collecting versus the collateral that your brokerage is holding aside. So for example, with a normal cash secured put, you have to take a look at the premium. Let's say you sell a put option for $1 of premium, so $100 in normal people terms. If you sell it for $100 and your brokerage holds aside collateral of $10,000 for 2 months, that's a 1% return on your collateral. So you have to think about it in that way. Is the money that's being held aside as collateral for 2 months worth the premium I'm getting for it? 1% return over 2 months? Not bad. I mean, it's all right. So maybe for you it's worth it, maybe for others it's not. So that's how you compare and make sure you're getting enough premium for the collateral that's being held aside. And usually it's going to be more favorable towards your position if implied volatility is higher, which is not really the case right now, which is why naked put options are much, much better because you don't have to compare it to collateral. You could sell a put option, a naked put option, collect the premium, make that entire premium, it expires out of the money worthless, and you never had to buy the shares at the strike price because you never got assigned. It's just a total win. It's free money at that point. Now, what I do instead is I'm a bad, naughty boy. I'll buy stocks. You shouldn't do that. Technically speaking, basically anyone who knows anything about risk management would probably say resist the temptation to use that freed up money that would have otherwise been held as collateral to invest in stocks, because guess what? If the stock market dips overall and you get assigned the position that you bought with with the money that would have been collateral probably went down too. You're probably gonna have to sell it at a loss. You won't be able to cover the entire assignment. You're gonna have to find the money elsewhere. So it does have higher risks. But when I have positions that I've already established for quite a while and that have seen some profits, even if the overall market dips and I get assigned my put option and the money I need to cover that assignment is invested in an investment that has dipped as well, so I'm not selling at the perfect time, I'm still likely to have a profit on that position. So what I'm trying to say, I know I'm getting lost in the weeds here because I'm feeling real chatty today. What I'm trying to say is that you can take that money that would have otherwise been held as collateral and then put it somewhere where you can get some interest, whether that be an interest accruing account like a savings account, a CD, M1 Spend Plus, or if you want to make some, put on some extra risk, you can throw it in a stock, but you have to know that if that stock goes down, you better find the money to cover your margin position if you get assigned. Otherwise, you might have to own the shares on margin. If you own the shares on margin and everything keeps dipping, you might get a margin call. And if you don't have the money to do that, you might have to sell your dog. So you have to think about like the consecutive steps of worst case scenario. What am I going to do? So in my position, if I sell a naked option right now, I have a pretty large account. It's like almost $200,000. I don't sell a bunch of naked options. I just sell some. So if I have to, I'll liquidate a position. Likely though, by that point in time, by the time my put option gets assigned, if it gets assigned, and it takes a while, especially when you're rolling put options, then I'll probably have the cash already available. I'll buy the shares outright. And I'm not saying run out and sell naked puts all the time. You better be willing to liquidate positions or find cash elsewhere to cover assignment. It's not a smart move risk-wise to sell a naked put, throw the money that would have been held as collateral into way out of the money options that expire in a week, and then expect to make a huge return and squeak by and cover that assignment if it occurs. That's a really bad idea. It's a good idea to do what I said earlier, where if you find a very safe interest accruing account and put the money in there, that's not a bad idea. That's better than using a cash secured put, but it's basically just as safe because you have the cash set aside in a totally safe account that's accruing maybe a minute amount of interest, but interest nonetheless. So it's still better than just a plain old cash secured put. But the problem with this is not all brokerages allow you to do this. For example, TD Ameritrade allows you to sell naked put options if you meet their margin requirements. Their margin requirements are a little confusing, but basically always add up to something a little under the amount of cash needed to buy the shares if you get assigned, but in margin. So if I sell a put option that's an 80 strike put, my margin needed in order to sell it on margin is going to be slightly less than $8,000. So slightly less than the normal amount you'd have to have as a set aside with a cash secured put. Okay, so TD Ameritrade allows you to do it. Robinhood does not. Robinhood, I asked them, you have to have collateral every single time. I think Charles Schwab allows you to do it. Others may not. You have to ask the brokerage. So ask the brokerage. If you can't find it in their details on their website or whatever, contact customer support, ask them if this is something you're interested in doing. And for the love of God, just don't sell it if you don't know what you're going to do if you get assigned. It's not free money. It is free money when you keep not getting assigned, but as soon as you get assigned, you better have a way to cover that assignment. You don't want to be holding 100 shares of some stock through TD Ameritrade on margin for super long because TD Ameritrade's interest rates are super high. They're like 9% annually for positions held on margin. That's their margin rates, at least for certain brackets anyway. But across the board, naked puts are a great option for everybody because you can always put that money that would have been held aside as collateral in a very, very extremely safe interest accruing account that would only go bust if an apocalypse was happening. All right, guys, you want to follow me on Iris, see all my trades? Links down below. Also on Patreon, every single time I make a trade, I make a video same day and I post it to Patreon. Okay, so if you want to go get updates on my trades, like through videos, every single time I make a trade the same day, go subscribe to Patreon. I know some people are like, Adam, don't put up a paywall, dude. But then you guys go throw money into FDs and it just burns up and you don't mind doing that. So listen, I'm not giving you guys content. Anything I would make for YouTube, I'm going to make anyway. I'm making extra content on Patreon. So don't get confused, okay? I love you guys. I would never stab you in the back or turn my back on you. This is just extra content that's being produced for Patreon. So if you want that, you want access to it, go check it out. Otherwise, just get your normally somewhat irregularly scheduled content from me here on YouTube. All right. Love you guys. Peace out.